Welcome, everyone, to the Game Vault Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Schuster. Joining me tonight are Mark Myers and special guest, Jonathan.
Hello, I'm excited to talk about all of the goaties of this year.
all the goodies, yeah. Hello, everyone. Real quick drop in here. I don't know about you guys, but I think there is a major difference between soda with ice and soda without ice. So I'll just leave that in the Discord to talk
Mark,
about.
we have so many real things to talk about.
Like video games.
Yeah. Continue.
As stated, tonight is our annual Game of the Year podcast, and we'll be also be reviewing our Retro Roulette game, which was Mick Kids for the Nintendo Entertainment System. But before we get to all of that, what have you been playing? Jonathan, what have you been playing?
Well, I actually wanted to start with that's going to get into my list, and so I wanted to say this year has been wild for like looking at people's goatee lists, because basically everybody starts their list with there were a lot of great games this year, but there was one that just came out of nowhere and it blew me away because of it's similar to a lot of existing games. However, it just really innovates on the genre. And then they name like one of 20 different games. And every time you look at somebody's list, it's like, oh yeah, of course, Silksong, yes, was your goatee. Of course, Claire Obscure was your goatee. Of course, Of the Devil was your goatee. Of course, et cetera, et cetera. And that usually it's fewer games that people are like have as their number one, but this year's been wild.
It certainly has. I jumped into Game of the Year stuff way too late, and I'll get into that when I go into what I've been playing. But Mark, what have you been playing?
Yeah, so since the last time we recorded, I believe I finished 2 Mega Mans, 3 and 4. 4, I can see why people say the quality goes down after 3. I felt it the entire time I was playing it. That final boss, it gives you, for me, it took me a while to get the indication of why I was not hitting the second form of Wily. And it was because my shots were bouncing off the shots he was, sending my way and not getting to him. But it's a really hard indication. Like, the window is so small to get your shot in before his projectile comes out. Once I figured that out, I wiped the floor with that boss, as you probably saw on stream. It wasn't the Mega Man 3 moment where I watched the video and the guy was like, oh yeah, just use Rush Jet and sit up here. They can't hit you and you can just pop shot them. I was like, oh yeah, that does make that fight a lot easier. But yeah, and that's another big difference between 3 and 4 that I didn't like was the Rush Jet. You couldn't control Rush. He just kept going in one direction. But you could do up and down, but you couldn't like control him like a plane. Or if you could, I couldn't figure it out. So I rarely used them. So I'm looking forward to 5 coming up. Yeah, and the other things I've been playing a whole lot of NCAA. Obviously it's my comfort game that I go to and play whenever I just want to have a podcast on or something, especially through the holidays. Yeah, and the only other thing I really touched was Outer Worlds 2. And so far nothing really grabbing me about that. But it is something I did play for a little bit. I think the main thing that I got into, which I can talk about here because it's not on the list we're going to talk about. But I spent an entire day on my vacation just playing Sonic Crossworlds, Sonic Racing Crossworlds.
Nice.
That game's real fun. Once I figured out how the drifting worked again in that game, that was one of the good things about Racing Transformed is that they had the little side mini games that taught you how to do things. I think this one has it, but I think it's like in a separate like menu or something. Racing Transformed had it on the main menu. Once I figured all that out, I started getting really good. I think my favorite thing about Sonic Racing is that it has the rivalry system, and they like for a Sonic level game, they like taunt you when you pass them or they pass you or they hit you with a weapon, and it's just a good interactive thing, and it gives you something to go towards if you don't think you can win. You're like, all right, I have to at least beat this guy or lady or robot.
Yeah, I played for people listening. I played the demo of Sonic Cross Worlds, and I thought it was really great, but it's too hard on my hands. But the rifle thing is really fun because it's like trash talk in game, but it's also different interactions depending on like who you are playing and who your rival is. So like Rouge versus Knuckles is different dialogue than Sonic versus Knuckles, for example. And so I think everybody agrees that one of the strongest things about the Sonic games is the interaction between the characters and stuff like that, and this really plays into that.
Yeah, 100%. That's the main thing that has put it over. I mean, I haven't played Mario Kart World, obviously. I don't have a Switch 2, but I feel like that aspect is what would draw me to this game a little bit more than the Mario Kart. But yeah, so I beat like the first. Once I figured out the drifting, I beat the easy mode, like the 50cc version of this game. Because if you're not drifting and getting the boost, even on that level, you'll finish second or third and not first. And then I moved on to the next higher level, which I think I said on NewsHour. The difference on the next step up is you just got to be a little more perfect with the drifts and the boost, rather than them being ultimately faster than you. You have to play the game better as you go up, essentially, which is a challenge that I enjoy on it.
So you're actually playing as DK in Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, Drift King.
Drift King Joker. Yeah.
What a surprise that Mark is playing as Joker.
Yeah, I started out before because quick thing for those of you out there, and when you start, you have to do your first race. For some reason, to make you do one race, and then they unlock all the free DLC people. So I started off as Tails, and then it unlocked Joker, and I was like, yes, immediately. Ichiban would have been my second choice, but yeah. So, and the car, I'm still trying to figure out exactly how the car customization works to make it better. But working through it. It's great. I love it, and I'm glad that I got to play a whole lot of it before this list so that I can properly rate it. It's not going to be mentioned on here because I believe we're only doing a top 5 here, and my top 5 is pretty solidified. But yeah, it's a really good game. If you like kart racers and you're disappointed with Mario Kart, I would highly, highly recommend it.
Okay. Glowing praise from Mark. That's good. So on to my list. So like I said previously, I delved into Game of the Year stuff way too late, which included this past month. The hero of my Game of the Year stuff, though, has been my Lenovo Legion Go S that I picked up on Black Friday. I didn't know how much I was going to use it until I turned it on and started using it, and I was like, wow, I can play a full-blown PC game on the couch. And it's really opened up my ability to play PC games because I don't have a PC in my living room. As much as I would like to, with 2 small children that like to destroy things, having a mobile computer, it definitely helps. So I've been playing. I picked up Tokyo Extreme Racer. It was in early access for a while, but it actually released this year. It's basically like it's not a remake, but it's like a reimagining of the first game. And it's got dialogue and it's got a story. It's got a quote unquote story, which is interesting because Tokyo Extreme Racer is kind of just you go race everybody, but there's like an underlying story of how you're becoming this all powerful racer on the Japan Circle.
Okay.
Not DK. The drifting is not really that big of a deal in this game. Surprisingly, it's more you want to make sure that you're going around corners well and not sliding. Sliding is a bad thing.
Yeah, I've seen Initial D. I get it.
I've beaten a few bosses already. I'm not that far into it, but I'm far enough into it to get the gameplay loop, and I've unlocked all the starting points, and I've beaten a few of the gangs. So I'll get into more of it later because it's on the list. I've also been playing Dispatch. We will talk about that later. And lastly, I picked up Expedition 33 finally. and we'll talk about that later. But there is one game I picked up that is not on any of those lists, and that's Epic Mickey Rebrushed. I
Oh,
really like. I never played the original one for the Wii. I played Epic Mickey 2 on the 360. So I wanted to give this a try, and I love it. I love Epic Mickey. I don't know why. I mean, I know why I didn't play the original because it was on the Wii, and I didn't feel like dealing with the waggle controls and everything else. But I'm really glad they made it for a controller because I can just sit down and relax, and it's not high stress. It's kind of a puzzle game, and it's kind of an action game, but it's a Mickey Mouse game. We could say it. It's a baby game for babies, but it's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of charm, which is nice, and it's one of those games you can just pick up and play, and you don't have to worry about knowing exactly what's going on in the story. Like, you could pick it up for a week and then get off of it for a month and then come back and play it, and you're not going to be lost, which is nice. So I really enjoy Epic Mickey, and I think if you have PS Plus, it's going to be free this month. Of course, I purchased it, and next month
Perfect timing.
that's how it always
never
works. Right?
it never fails.
Yeah.
Never fails. Because I've been debating on buying this game for months, and of course, the month after I buy it. So follow me for all of your gaming deals, because anytime I buy something, it'll be on sale.
Good to know.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing this past couple of weeks. I think we're going to get right into Game of the Year stuff. We have a number of categories, which I'm going to go through right now. And after that, we'll do our Retro Roulette, and we'll spin the wheel and do all the usual stuff. But we have multiple categories. Like I said, we have our favorite character of the year, gaming moment of the year, which does not necessarily need to be in a game. It can be something adjacent to gaming, just some moment you had with gaming this year that was your moment of the year. And we'll have our Retro Roulette game of the year, our New Year's resolution, our game you wish you played that came out in 2025, and our game of the year list, which is our top 5. So we're going to try to get through the other stuff kind of quick, because I'm sure we all want to talk about the game of the year games as much as possible. So we'll start off with favorite character, and let's start with Mark.
Yeah. So my favorite character of the year is a 1-1A situation, and since one of them would be a spoiler for Tom, I have decided to choose 1A, and I'm going to go with Beef from Dispatch, because he is a good boy, and I will protect him with my life.
Is this like a dog or something?
Yeah, it's a
Yes,
dog.
he's a dog.
Okay.
It's a really fat dog.
I mean, okay. So with a name like Beef, that could either be a dog, which it's a great name for a dog, or it could be the name for a like side character who is like a football player or something like that.
Yeah.
So you got to
No,
specify.
That's my favorite character, which I'll jump in real quick because it's also in Dispatch, and that's Royd, Royd. Royd.
Are you saying that
Or-
Royd is an old natty?
So Royd is a gigantic. I guess he's Samoan.
He's
I don't.
Samoan. I think he might actually be on the Rock Roman Reigns family tree. I think. I thought I saw that, or somebody was rumor said that.
Anyway, Royd is my favorite character because he's a gigantic beast of a man, and he's also a nerd and a gearhead, which I believe is something he says early on in the game. I thought was pretty funny that he's all three, and it's a and he's funny. So he's an all around perfect character in my book.
I only said that because that's one of my favorite lines in the entire game, but because he makes a joke about, do they call you Royd because you're on steroids? And he's just sad at it going, is that why they called me? Do they think that Royd's not all natty? It's really good. It's like the introduction to him, and it's great. I love Royd too.
And Jonathan, who was your favorite character of the year?
Okay. My favorite character from the year is from a game that is not on my top 5. My favorite character is Arlecchino from Lies of P Overture. This is a like Elden, or the same situation as like the Elden Ring DLC. The DLC for Lies of P is like 15 to 20 hours long, and so it's like a massive expansion with completely new campaign and all that stuff. Arlecchino was in the base game, and he's also in this. So I don't want to mention too much about the DLC, but so I'm just going to describe what he is in the base game. In the base game, he gives you riddles like the Riddler, and he sounds like the Joker or the Riddler. Like that's what the voice actor is going for. But he's a serial killer robot, and
Okay.
he's like very important to the lore, like the plot, because he was one of the first puppets to gain sentience, and so he like realized that all of these robots are like enslaved, and so he hates humans, and so he just became a serial killer. And then in Lies of P Overture, you go back in time, and so I'll let you do some figuring out. Anyway, it's one of my favorite versions of the Joker, and also like Batman the Joker, and also you could describe him as Mecha Joker, which is yeah, it's so good.
That's great.
Because the rest of he's obviously that character is kind of goofy, but also like played very straight. And it's in a game where the rest of it is all like very serious and very meticulous and like historical fiction type stuff. Man, lots of fun.
Awesome. That's a good pick. Lies of P is one of those blind spots for me. I don't know if it's because it's a Souls-like or what, but I feel like I need to get into that at some point.
When they released the DLC, they added difficulty modes.
Oh, that's nice.
And the difficulty modes are easier. They do make that game is like so for Dark Souls proper. There's a lot of things you can do to make the game easier, like certain strategies, knowing where to get stuff and whatever things like that. But there's just like no plot, and so if you're not there for like that, like dangerous exploration and difficult combat and stuff like that, then there's just like not that much there for you. But Lies of P and has a lot of story and like very good level design and like story and whatever. So I think that one is actually worth playing on the easier difficulties if you don't want it to be like really challenging. And I played it a little bit on the normal difficulty, and I thought it was really good. Of like, it is, you have more wiggle room, but like you can get hit a little bit more.
Okay.
You can be a little bit less precise. However, you do still need to know the mechanics. Like, you are still actually playing the game. You have to actually like understand the combat and level up, like have a build and stuff like that. So you are still like playing the game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I do like, I already told Mark he should absolutely try Lies of P now, and same thing for you, Tom, that it's definitely worth trying. It's also a thing that was free on PS Plus a long time ago, so I know Mark at least has it from that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I have it too from that. I have that and Bloodborne that I need to play. So I think Bloodborne I've heard is way harder. But anyway.
Yeah.
We're on a tangent. All right. So that concludes our favorite characters. Let's go into our gaming moment of the year. And I'm going to start off real quick because it'll be quick. So I got my daughters plural, their first controllers and their first video game this year, which was Bluey the video game, as you do. And I got to play it with her for the first time, and she was super excited, even though she did not know what she was doing, and she was just pressing buttons. The fact that there was a character moving on the screen and her holding a controller, she loved every second of it, and it made me very happy, and I hope that I can continue that, parlay that into her liking old games like I like. We'll see if that happens, but I have the first one to remember.
Nice. Yeah.
Mark, go ahead. How about you?
Yeah. So mine's, I don't have a Kitty Ash Cat moment this year, outside of the fact that we did go to Comic-Con and she had her mind blown there at how amazing it was. But there was no video game. That was all anime related. That's excited about. But so my moment of the year is getting my first platinum in a while, and platinuming Expedition 33. And getting almost all my characters up to level 99 and going through the the challenge tower, and beating all that. Got the platinum because I did look up how to cheese the hardest boss in the game. But I think everybody did that. And they're being punished for it in the DLC, by the way.
I mean, to clarify, when you say cheese the boss, what you mean is use a specific build that is designed to defeat that boss very quickly.
Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like a glitch or anything like that. It's just yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to do and really parry at all, really, or do any of the actual mechanics of the game outside of have a great build and a really powerful character.
I don't like that. I don't like that you're going to get punished for doing it in the next game. That seems dumb.
No, what he?
Yeah, I'll explain. The punish in the next thing is when you fight this same mega boss again in the DLC, he goes first, so you have to actually do dodges and parries and stuff, rather than just be able to knock him out before he even gets to go.
Yeah, it's not like they said, "Oh, you beat this boss too easily last time. Now you take a penalty." It is instead just that you didn't learn this fight before, and so if you want to like beat the next version, you have to like actually learn the fight.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think and I'll do this here real fast because I don't want to talk about it too much in the game of the year section. But most of the things in that DLC, and I don't know if you've played any of it, Jonathan, are basically reactions to ways people made builds to beat things quickly, and it is really funny.
Nice.
Yeah. I went into the you can watch the stream. I should be up on YouTube. One of the Extra Life stuff. But I went into the I did all the DLC story stuff and I finished all that. And then I went to the challenge tower and went to the first level of that. And the two guys I fought went 3 times in a row and just destroyed me. And I was just like, I'm done. And by 3 times in a row means they have an attack that hits you 6 to 7 times that you have to dodge or parry. So I was just like, they upped the difficulty and I just backed away. But getting that platinum was fun because doing all the other stuff around that final boss, and final mega boss was fun to do all the challenges, find all the journals and all that. It's a very doable platinum. You don't have to.
Don't tell me that, Mark. Don't tell me that, Mark.
I'm going to tell you why it's very doable. You don't have
I know,
to
but don't tell me because it means I'm going to have to do it.
Yeah, the easy part, what I'm saying is that you don't have to beat the game twice. It's not one of those things where you have to beat it on every difficulty level or you have to beat it New Game Plus or anything like that. It's not one of those that you have to, play 400 hours to get it. But yeah, I was enjoying. It's my first platinum in a while. And I was very, very
congratulations. Glad. That is cool. It's quite difficult to do that these days, I feel like.
Yeah.
All right. And Jonathan, gaming moment of the year.
Okay. So in Monster Hunter Wilds, the newest Monster Hunter, they have been adding the challenge quest, which is it's only available for 2 weeks and you have to get speed run it. And if you get a good time, then you get a special charm for your weapon or whatever. Just completely cosmetic thing. First one came out and it's against Doshiguma, which is one of the first monsters you fight. Sure, I'll just do this really quick. It should be easy. And I didn't get a good time. I didn't get a good enough time. And I watched the speed run and I was like, oh, I need to be playing differently. With my main weapon, I need to learn several things that I needed to do or that I could be doing instead. That made me way faster, and I got it the second or third try. And it made me much better at the game. The second one came out, and it was Arc-Tempered Raydao. And I lost my mind that you have to beat it in less than 12 minutes. Ooh. And I tried for literal hours, and the best time I got was 12 minutes and 45 seconds.
Oh, that sucks.
Everybody else was like, it's really not that bad. And it turns out, I think it's just that I was using bow, and bow specifically is just not fast at that fight. It's very easy to not get hit. However, you just don't kill it very fast. And so I was going insane. And then one of the Discords, somebody's like, hey, does anybody want any help with this? Because it's really easy to knock out. Just we'll group up. And so I joined a lobby with that guy. We did the hunt once and we did it in 9 minutes. It's we had 3 minutes to spare. And nothing special, no special strategy, nothing like that. It's just he was using a different weapon. And then so then I was like, I don't really know if I want to do these anymore, because that was miserable. And also, I don't feel super accomplished if it's just you and another person who is good at the game do the hunt once and don't suck at it. But then they had, added Mizutsune, and I was like, yeah, I'll just try this one really quick. This should be easy. That one had limited weapons, and one of them was dual blades, which I'm really good with, or like really comfortable with. And I was like, oh yeah, I know how to fight Mizutsune with the dual blades. I go in, I get that one first try with like a minute and a half to spare or something like that. Like the time it was like 5 minutes, and I did it with like a minute to spare or something like that. I don't know. I'm exaggerating. But and then that made me feel really good. That I was like, yeah, I can just do a speed run against this monster. Just knock it out real quick. Sure thing.
Yep.
Easy peasy. I haven't done any since then because, again, it's just, they're very stressful a lot of the time.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah, that's the worst part about those. I remember, I think it's more timer stuff. Is what stresses me out when I would do like those challenge timers in Hades and stuff like that.
The thing that's stressful about it is just that it's only available for the like 2 weeks or whatever.
Oh, that okay.
And
That,
yeah, so it's like you have to make time in order to do it, and you can't. And so if you're not in the mood to play that game in that 2 week period, then
it's gone.
You either force yourself to play it and when have a bad time, or you miss out on it. And then it's like, well, I could have gotten that easily if I just wasn't busy. But yeah,
I get that. That's why it's special when you do it. Okay, let us move on to our Retro Roulette game of the year. And Jonathan, feel free to comment on our choices. I don't know if you got to play any of these, but I'll let Mark go first.
Yeah, so mine, there was only really 3 on the list that was worthy. We didn't play many this year. I will do a 1-and-1 toward it. I will also take a Retro Roulette endurance run game for me. So for the games that we play for this specific podcast Prime, I just adore, even though I've already played through it for the channel, but Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island is just a fun, chill, experience. Even if there are some stressful, platforming moments, which were graciously clipped during my playthrough on Twitch there. But it's a great game. It's not Super Mario World, obviously, but it does have its own uniqueness, and I love the art style for it. So I will always have an excuse to play. I will take an excuse to play that game. And I think for Retro Roulette Endurance Run, I think I'm going to exclude Mega Man 2 because I played that game at least a dozen times. But yeah, finally finishing Mega Man 3. I think Mega Man 3 is as good, if not better, than Mega Man 2. And they are obviously, so far, I've played through 4 of them, the 2 best in the series. It's like not even close, But Mega Man 3 was really fun to play. The Robot Masters were unique enough, and you can tell by the time you get to 4 that they're running on empty in terms of ideas. But yeah, for me, for the games that I played all year, Mega Man 3, I'm glad I finally got to finish it, and it is top of the list for any kind of retro game that I played this year.
Okay. Now, mine was probably not a surprise. I picked Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 for the PlayStation. Tony Hawk 2 is arguably the godfather of all extreme sports games. Arguably. It is also arguably one of the best ones in the series. I think most people will go between Tony Hawk 2, Tony Hawk Underground, and Tony Hawk 3. Those are like the big ones. But Tony Hawk 2 took everything that Tony Hawk 1 did and just did it better. It was better looking, it had better controls. It was almost like Tony Hawk 1 was a tech demo and Tony Hawk 2 was the real game. But it had so much customization. The soundtrack was incredible. You could do so much in these levels that they created that it just was way ahead of its time. And to do all that on the original PlayStation was a very, very big deal. You know, it wasn't like it was Activision. It wasn't like it was a small company doing this game. Somebody thought, yeah, let's make skateboarding the next big thing. And for a long time, skateboarding ruled the world in the extreme sports world. And I think Tony Hawk 2 had a lot to do with that. Any thoughts, Jonathan, before we move on?
I wanted to shout out a retro game that I played this year.
Sure.
Good.
If that's okay. All right. So I got a Retroid Pocket earlier this year, and I was using that to play some retro games. The one that really stuck out to me is Chaos Legion for the PlayStation 2.
Okay.
Which is a Capcom character action game from 2003. And I just got to read this description for it, and you'll see why this was fantastic. Okay. Chaos Legion is a gothic opera which begins November 791 Anno Satanas. The protagonist, Sieg Warheit, is a knight of the Dark Glyphs who is on a quest under command of the Order of Saint Overia to find his former friend Victor Delacroix, who has stolen the forbidden book Apocrypha of Yazark. That's crazy spelled backwards. And to stop him from unleashing the evil spirit, Azrael, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, it opens with this, the like two main characters, Sieg Warheit and Victor Delacroix, yelling at each other on top of a cathedral that's floating in space, basically. And of like, no, how could you do this? There is no preamble explaining what is happening or anything like that. It's just melodramatic yelling at each other. And then it's like a really interesting character action game that it's actually like Astral Chain, or I guess Astral Chain is ripping off of this, that you have these different like demons that you summon, and like 4 different ones, and you can they are active, like attacking enemies on the field while you are also attacking with your sword and stuff. And then you can also use them to do special attacks, and you can switch between which legions you're controlling and whatever. The thing is, the game sucks to play. It's truly miserable. It just you cannot block. You don't have any iframes on your dodge, and there's a million enemies. And even on easy, everything does a lot of health and like knocks you flat on your butt. And there's like flying enemies that are really hard to hit because you have a sword and you don't have aerial combos. But it's just wow. It's just those cutscenes are fantastic, and it's cool ideas. Just shame about the whole game part.
They got part of it right.
Yeah, it's absolutely a game where, like, if somebody were to do a remaster, you could just make it fun to play, and then the whole thing would be like 10 out of 10 fantastic. But nobody is going to remaster Chaos Legion for the PS2. So,
all right, well, maybe somebody can do some fan work to it. You never know. People love to mess with old games.
Yeah,
Okay,
like we just saw on Games Done Quick that someone had modded Super Mario World to be played backwards. So
everything backwards, including
Everything.
text.
Yep.
Yeah, but Super Mario World is a much more popular game than any character action game on the PS2.
You're telling me
That's
there was
true.
a few character action games on the PS2? No way.
I mean,
Yeah,
it
right.
was just slightly more popular, is what you're saying. I've got it.
Right.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to our next category, which is gaming New Year's resolution. Jonathan, what is your New Year's resolution for gaming for 2026?
So I'm about to get into my list. My list has a lot of Souls-likes on there. I was talking about speedrunning and Monster Hunter. My gaming New Year's resolution is to get into 3D platformers.
Ooh.
Similar to what Tom was saying, my kid is now almost 3.5, and so I want to get into 3D platformers because I can play those around her, and it's like fine. Even like Monster Hunter is not. I mean, when you hit a monster, there are bone crunching and stuff like that, which is I have to explain, like, why are you trying cut that. Why are you trying to chop up that dragon? Its tail just go flying off. You cut it. If I get into 3D platformers, then I don't have to answer these questions.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like I don't
you're
have to
just
worry
jumping
about
on
like
head.
her seeing and stuff. It's like I'm jumping around to go somewhere. Where are you trying to go? A birthday party. Sonic's having a birthday party for his friends, and then also if she wants to play, then that is something that like she can try to do. She's 3.5, so she's not actually able to play any video games yet, but she can try. And also, every time 3D platformer people complain about Souls-likes, they're like, "Oh, these games are so Souls-likes are terrible. They're so difficult, and they're so difficult." And then there's like all of these bosses are super hard, and it's really annoying. And there's I just don't want to do any of the stupid combat. They should make these games have great tutorialization, like Super Mario 64. There, you just learn the whole moveset, and then you get to experiment with all these different builds and styles and stuff like that. And then all of the difficult stuff is completely optional, and you never have to do it if you don't want to. I did do all of it, by the way.
Yeah.
And then like you realize that these are the same thing, right? Like what you were describing is exactly the same thing that you're complaining about. Anyway, so I feel like there's an easy path for me to get into 3D platformers, specifically the stuff that people call expressive movement, like chaining your abilities together to figure out how to solve problems or get to a different place, that kind of thing. So you mentioned Epic Mickey Rebrushed. That has been on my list as one of the things that I wanted to get as part of this. So I'm very excited that I did not buy it right before it's about to be free.
Yes, it'll be free on PSN.
Yeah,
But I do
also,
highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. It's it would be perfect for kids.
Yeah, I also just played Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is fantastic. And then I am looking into getting Mario games for like Switch as part of this. So that was a long thing. But yeah, that's my gaming New Year's resolution, is become a 3D platformer person.
That's a good one. I like that. All right, Mark, how about you?
Yeah. So my resolution, I think I had also mentioned this on News Hour, so I apologize for people that the crossover. I want to start getting into us streaming more newer releases on the channel, and with the inside joke thing, and I guess it's become a real thing of doing probably maybe more hasty glances, one-offs of things just to show that we played it, and just check in on everything modern in games, because we do at least, well, theoretically 3 out of the 4 nights that we stream are all retro. And I feel like that's why I do, like, when the big games come up, which the first one is going to be 007, that I do a full playthrough on. I do that, but I want to do more individual quick hour and a half, of something that comes out of demo or Steam Next Fest, or, just more of that stuff, to just touch a whole lot more of the recent releases, just to have that aspect of the channel. Yeah. And, one of the first tests of that is at least some point next week, or maybe before. I might have already done this, but I'm going to, play a couple hours of the Dragon Quest 7 demo that came out. But yeah, that's my goal, is I want to at least have the YouTube, the Twitch, just have more touchstones for modern games. Since we already locked down the retro side of things.
I think that's a good one. Yeah, we do tend to skew a bit more retro here, but I mean that's kind of because the podcast was born on a collection of retro games, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's time to evolve, as they say.
Yeah. My resolution is kind of similar to that. I want to play more newer games, but at the same time, I purchased a Lenovo Legion Go S with SteamOS on it because I wanted to buy a Steam Deck, but I couldn't justify the cost with this coming out, and when at the time it was like the same price and it was way better performance. So I purchased it. I didn't know how much I was going to use it. I I played a little bit of like I tried out Final Fantasy VII Remake on it, and I was getting pretty good performance playing 60 FPS. I was enjoying it. And then I decided, you know what? Let me try out some Game of the Year stuff on it. And I tried Tokyo Extreme Racer. I tried out Dispatch. It's like the perfect pick up and play thing for like when the kids go to bed and I don't feel like going downstairs and getting the whole setup together and getting that. I have a feeling, I think it's like an ADHD thing for me.
I
I've
can see
never been
that.
diagnosed, but I definitely have some things where like if there is a barrier for me to do something, I won't do it. Like I have to mentally prepare myself and something has to be out for me to want to play with it or use it or do whatever. So
Yeah.
having this thing right in the living room all the time, I want to use it more. I don't have an excuse. So that's my New Year's resolution is to use that device more, especially because of all the crap that's going on with PC hardware right now. It's going to be impossible to get anything to upgrade anything else. So I might as well get used to using that. That
Yeah,
is my New Year's resolution.
yeah.
Go ahead, Jonathan. What were you
Do
gonna
you
say?
have Windows on it, or are you using Bazite?
I'm using Steam OS. It came stock with Steam.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right.
Yeah, so it's full blown Linux. My
Yeah.
plan is to try to get the other game stores on it so I can play other stuff because I have a million. I'm looking through like Epic and GOG. I have a million games that I have available to me, but they're just not all on.
Yeah. I think Heroic Launcher is still the way that people recommend you do that, and I think it can be pretty easy to set up. If you find a good guide for it.
Yeah,
But,
that's
yeah.
that's the plan in the new year is to try to get as much stuff on that as possible. Not overload it because I don't want to do the thing where you put too much stuff on it and then you can't decide what you want to play.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Also, the trick to Linux, especially SteamOS, is to not try to do that much crazy stuff with it. If you try to do a bunch of complicated things, then it takes a lot of time to like figure out all that stuff, and you run into weird problems. If you just use it as it is, as the device came to you, then like it's super easy and everything is plug and play.
Yeah, that's my plan.
Yeah.
That's why I got the Steam OS one. I was on the fence about going Steam OS or Windows, and I just keep seeing how much everybody's hates like dealing with Windows on a handheld.
Oh,
So I was
Well.
like, all right, well, I want to try Steam OS, and I was going to get a Steam Deck, but once I saw this and it was available at basically the same price for way better, I said, all right, I got it. Because I was like getting ready. I was like that day I was getting ready to order a Steam Deck, and I saw that went on sale. So I quickly made the decision to try that instead, which
Yeah.
I'm glad I did.
There's also a lot of benchmark videos have found that Linux performs like games run as well, if not better, on Linux than on Windows, even though you have the Proton as like a compatibility layer and stuff like that, just because of not having
Overhead, yeah.
the garbage of Windows.
Yeah.
And also, Jen and I both had Windows computers corrupt the boot disk well without us doing anything.
I know. I've been trying to fix Jen's computer for a year, I think, at this point. I don't know. I still can't figure out what's wrong with it.
Yeah. That her toddler slapped the keyboard, the computer immediately crashed, and the boot disk was corrupted. That is not a thing that should ever happen.
No, it should not ever happen.
Yeah.
And it's been the bane of my existence for the past, I don't know, like a year, because I have not been able to figure out why it's still not working.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other tangent. I've replaced Jen's almost replaced every piece of that computer and it's still not working. So
yeah. No, just that. Yeah. So a lot of people have been switching away from Windows because with Windows you get issues like that, and with Linux you just don't unless you try to do something really crazy. So,
which I totally get, totally understand. I'm going to stick with SteamOS on this thing and try not to do anything stupid. Okay, let's get on to the game you wish you played that released in 2025. There was a lot of stuff that came out this year. I'm going to start this one off because obviously the game I wish I played this year was Candy Crush Solitaire. I'm
Okay.
kidding.
I was like, okay, I'll go with you on this. Let's do it.
No, that's totally kidding. I would never want to play a Candy Crush game after whatever that was, 2005, whenever it actually came. I actually wanted to play Assassin's Creed Shadows because I had heard a lot of good things about it being more of a AA release as opposed to a AAA release, and I think Assassin's Creed really needed that. It got way too big. It got way too complicated. There was way too much stuff going on. Because the last one that I tried to play, I think, was Valhalla,
Okay.
and I got past like the intro sequence, and then the map opened up, and it was just icons like everywhere. And I was like, I can't do this. There's way too much stuff happening here that I needed to choose about what, because I didn't want to like do something and mess something else up, and I don't know. It was just like paralyzation with options. I couldn't do it. So I wanted to try Assassin's Creed Shadows this year. It had some controversy. It's blown over at this point, but I've heard that it was a pretty good game, and it was more what Assassin's Creed should have been from the like the original game.
Yeah. The only thing I heard about it on any kind of negative end is that it had the problem of the more recent ones is it just didn't know when to end. It kept popping up side stuff for you to do.
I feel like that's any Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, that's what they
Even
said.
like
That was
even like the first one, it did that where you like were getting towards the end, and then all of a sudden you had all this side stuff to do. It's just the way those games are built, but it is what it is. I just wanted to play one that was like the Ezio games because those are the games I really enjoyed. I enjoyed 1 and then the Ezio trilogy, and I really liked Black Flag. I would have taken a second Black Flag in a heartbeat, but that's never going to happen.
Well,
Just because. Go ahead.
that's technically what Skull and Bones was. Just everybody agreed it was terrible, right?
Well, Skull and Bones is a pirate game, isn't it? It has nothing to do with that universe, does it? And it's made by the same people.
I
But-
thought my understanding was Skull and Bones was supposed to be a spin-off game of Black Flag, expanding on the ship combat from Black Flag.
Yeah, that was the original pitch way back when Black Flag came out.
It just took them 10 years, and when it came out, everybody agreed it just wasn't very good.
Well, it was a 10-year-old
concept, yeah.
Concept at that point, so it was old and crappy. So, but the ship combat in Black Flag was awesome. I really enjoyed that, but I have not gone back to that game since 2008 or whatever it was, 7, 8. So I'd have to try it again. All right, Jonathan, what is the game you wish you had played for 2025?
I have an easy answer to this, which is Unbeatable. And so Unbeatable is a rhythm game / visual novel, kind of. Anyway, it's primarily a rhythm game, but it also has like a story and stuff, is what I mean. Tom, this one's also a recommendation for you. If you haven't tried the demo, it's very cool. It's a lot of like, I guess I would say like pop punk or indie rock type music. The reason I was hesitating in the beginning is just it came out at the end of December, and a lot of people have been waiting for this for a long time. They released their demo a long time ago, but I've heard that it's kind of buggy when it first came out, and so me and a lot of people have been waiting for at least like the first round of patches. But everybody who's played it really likes it. I've heard a lot of things. I've been waiting for it for a long time. I love the music from it that I've heard. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
I will have to check that out. I had not heard of it before this, but it sounds right up my alley. All right, Mark, what is your game you wish you played in 2025?
Yeah, so it's more of one that just everybody was talking about, and I probably have really easy access to play it, but just never got around to it. I really think I should have checked out Blueprints. I feel like that is the a type of game I would have dove deep into once I started it. And it is a game that pops up on a lot of Game of the Year lists and a lot of stuff. And I just, every time I looked at it, I'm like, yeah, I should play that. And then I just don't. But it is the top of the list of games I will probably play early this year. Because as we noticed when we were talking about it during the Final Fantasy VI stuff There's not a whole lot that I'm looking forward to coming out in January and February, except Resident Evil at the end of that month. So I feel like Blueprint, it could be a good time to dive into Blueprints, but yeah, I kept wanting to play it all year and then just didn't get around to it. I feel like it's a game I could really, really.
Mark, you're forgetting that Code Vein 2 comes out at the end of the month.
Oh, yes. Code Vein 2. Yes.
No, Blueprints has been a lot of people's like number one GOTY. If you like adventure games, it's definitely way up there. But
yeah, it's one of those, like, I've been actively avoiding even watching anybody play it. And it's starting to get tougher and tougher to do that. Because people are just, it's been out for a while, so they're just free forming spoilers now.
It came out at the beginning of the year, so
yeah.
Also, in their defense, a lot of the spoilers for Blueprints are like, did you know that if you found the key to the bathroom in the library, where that leads you to, and like that's just completely
Nonsense.
meaningless if you, and they'll say, yes, that opens the floodgates, right? And yeah, so like, what are they can't spoil anything for you.
I just want to make sure everybody knows the game that Mark is talking about is Blueprints, not blueprints like a blueprint.
But it's a play on words.
Yeah.
I know, but there is a game on Steam called Blueprints that is it's like a weird like 3D platformer.
Oh, I was
and literally
in
the description of Blueprints, it says, hang on, let me pull it back up. It says, not to be confused with the 2025 puzzle game Blueprints, but please do confuse them. It gives me more money.
That's pretty good.
And it's got like a cross through but please do confuse them. It gives me more money. Because when you said it, I was like, I know there's a game, like a game with blue in it from this year, but I looked up Blueprints, like a plan, like a blueprint plan. And I was like, this does not look like something Mark would want. I had to double check.
Wait, sorry, Mark. There was one game that I wanted to recommend for you. Have you looked at Of the Devil, the indie Ace Attorney?
I have not, but when you mentioned it, I think you mentioned it at some point earlier in the podcast. I did look it up, so I am on it for that.
Yeah, you should. I think you would really enjoy that. That's another one that has been a lot of people's like number one GOTY that I've seen.
Yeah, there were a couple games that people had mentioned and was on there that I want to get to, but I feel like some of those are going to fall into the 1,000 time resist bucket, where I have it and just never play it for some reason.
Well, Mark, if you buy it, it may be an option for someone to pick for you to play.
Yeah, I do have it.
Yeah, you should absolutely play 1,000 times resist before you play Blueprints.
Yes.
The Blueprints takes like 40 hours to get to the credits, which is not the end of the game. And 1,000 times resist is less than 10 hours long.
That's just a teaser for what may be coming in the next episode. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look up more of the indie stuff I missed as well. But Blueprints is the top of that list of things that came out in 2025. Probably top of the list now is 1,000 times resist. But yeah, there was a lot of small indie stuff that came out that I did want to check out. But in terms of actively avoiding what the game was about, Blueprints is the top one for me.
Okay. All right. I think that's it. Let's get into our game of the year for 2025. So I'm figuring we'll go 5-1. We'll go round robin. We'll start with Jonathan. Go with your 5. We'll all go through our 5 and so on. If somebody picks a game that is on your list, everybody can discuss it at that point, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Essentially, for the listeners out there, if someone picks something that's higher on someone else's list, we'll just say something quick now, and then when we get to the highest point is when we'll have the full.
Yep. Okay. Jonathan, start us off.
Yeah. So the first game, my number 5 is AI Limit, which is another Souls-like. So this game came out early in the year, and so Clair Obscura came out, and I played it with Mark, And Mark was like, "This is absolutely going to be my GOTY. Like, I can't imagine anything knocking it off the list." And I said, "This is absolutely going to be my number 2. Like, I don't know what else is going to beat it, but it's going to be. There's going to be something else that I like more." And then I played AI Limit, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is fantastic. Oh, this is just amazing." And then it is my top 5. Or it is my number 5, because so I don't hear anybody talking about this, but we are definitely living in a golden age of action games. And I think the term Souls-like kind of hides that, because that if I say Souls-like, you have a very clear picture of what I mean in many games that are in that genre, and that is different from character action games or other action RPGs, stuff like that. But it implies that these games are all just imitations of Dark Souls. But at this point, it's a new, robust genre of action game that has way more influences than just that one game from 15 years ago. Saying that Souls-likes are imitations of Dark Souls is like saying Call of Duty Modern Warfare is a Doom clone. It's like, sure, they are both first-person shooters. They are not the same game. AI Limit has a similar world and art style to Code Vein. It has winding, interconnected levels with traps that feel like they're laughing with you, like Dark Souls. Style switching, like Devil May Cry 3, like literally, it's the same thing as style switching. And dodge and parry focus combat that rewards aggression, like Lies of P. Souls-like doesn't mean it's like Dark Souls. It means it's like other Souls-likes. And every year we get several new bangers in this genre. AI Limit is a fantastic game that I really loved. And any other year, it could easily be my GOTY, like my number 1. But this year, there were so many. There were 2 other Souls-likes that came out this year that I liked better. And I'm not counting Night Rain, which is another one that was a lot of people's number 1 game of the year. But I can't do the 45-minute sessions. Like, that just doesn't fit into my schedule. So that one's not on my list. But it's like, even inside of what's supposed to be a niche genre, we got 4 or 5 game of the years in this year. It's like we're really feasting for action games.
Yeah, I'm watching gameplay of this game, and it is gorgeous. And yeah, I see what you mean. Like, anytime someone does Souls-like stuff, I feel like this gameplay video opens with them doing a like bonfire type thing. And I think as soon as you have something like that in a game, somebody says Souls-like without, playing through the rest of the game.
About that, I played Ninja Gaiden Black not that long ago, and as in like the Xbox One game, and that game, even playing that now, is fantastic. It originally ran at 60 frames per second on the Xbox One, which is like really impressive, right? And it feels good. It's part of why people liked it so much, is that it's just a fast, responsive action game. And but I bounced off of it like after the first boss, because you don't heal when you get to a checkpoint. Like, it saves your game and you start from that checkpoint if you die, but you don't heal. And so when you get to a checkpoint, when you are not at full health, it feels bad that you have made progress, because now anytime you die after that point, you are starting from a disadvantage.
Yeah,
and
that's bad.
And the thing that so what I played instead is I just went back to Neo, which plays very similar to Ninja Gaiden Black, except made by the same developers, with a very similar level structure, except that you have quote unquote bonfires, as in you heal when you get to a checkpoint.
Yeah.
Which makes it easier, like less frustrating to play a difficult action game. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was a long rant.
That's
no, it's
okay.
fine.
Okay.
What this podcast is all about.
You want me to keep going with my list?
No, we'll just do
I'm going to go for my number 5 first.
Yeah, do it.
And I'm probably going to get, I'm sure nobody's going to enjoy this pick, but my number 5 pick is Mario Kart World. I mentioned my dissatisfaction with the game a few podcasts ago, and while I'm dissatisfied, I think I'm more dissatisfied in the price. If this game was $60, it would have been much higher. I feel like, because the expectations are not so big. That makes sense. With this game being an $80 game, it's very difficult for me to say, yeah, you should totally go out and buy this game. It's gorgeous. It's definitely what the Switch 2 should have launched with. It shows off the system. It does a great job. It's got great music, great visuals. The tracks are fun. There's a ton of characters and unlockables, but it just can't be any higher because it's the first $80 game, and it very much showed that game should not cost $80 yet. If that makes sense, you understand what I mean by that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I guess one of the I mentioned earlier that there's like 20 games that all are like, oh well, obviously that was the number one game of the year. It's also really funny which games don't make that list of 20, and I think Mario Kart World is one of them that it's genuinely surprising that the new Mario Kart is not a common pick for best game of the year. Yeah.
What normally it would be, right? Normally it would
Yeah.
be up there with everything else, but I think just because they charge so damn much for it, and it's just not, it didn't have enough content, and just overall, it did not have enough in order to overcome that price. I don't know what Nintendo was thinking. I mean, I know what Nintendo was thinking. They wanted money, but it was not going to end well, because I guarantee you 90% of those purchases are from that bundle where the game is only like $50. That's how much it should have cost. $60 at most.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that is their goal, is just to get people to buy that bundle instead of getting a Switch 2 and just continuing to play Mario Kart 8. But
if that was
yeah.
their goal, it was smart, because that's what everybody did. I know I had no interest in buying the system by itself because that bundle was too good to pass up. And I'm sure that's what they were thinking. I'm sure they were going, yep, we should totally like gouge everybody on the price of this game so we can make them buy it with a bundle instead. But it is what it is. It's a good game. If it's ever on sale, or if you're looking to buy a Switch 2, you should buy it in the bundle. But other than that, I can't really recommend it but that's why it's at number 5.
Exactly.
So Mark.
Yep.
Where are you at with number 5?
Yeah, so my number 5, my 2 through 5 is I've switched around a whole bunch during the year, but my number 5 is going to end up being is the one game that I did not completely finish on this list, and it's going to be a Hollow Knight Silksong. I really enjoyed my time with it. I don't know if Jonathan has that on his list, or you have it by any chance.
No, I am not I do not like Hollow Knight.
Okay.
Nope.
So I had just want to make sure before I started talking about. Yeah, so I really dug the combat once I sort of figured it out, because full disclosure, I never played Hollow Knight, so I kind of jumped into this to kind of get on the trend, because I knew it would be something I would want to talk about. So at first I struggled trying to figure out, how things worked, and I eventually, the funniest part about it is I actually I played on PC. I plugged in my 8-bit DOE SNES controller because
Truly, that's the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, the D-pad was so much better for controlling Hornet on this controller than it was on the Xbox controller or any other controller I had. Even the 8-bit DOE 360 type controller wasn't. Yeah, so I played half of this game with a SNES controller, essentially. It is the story for as far as I got into it was really interesting. I only got really through Act 1 and part of Act 2. It had my probably third favorite character of the year. I forget her name because it's been a while, but it's one of the first people you meet that sort of like is singing a song and banging a bell in front of a gate. Yeah,
Is
I guess
it
so.
Sherma?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was pretty good early on. I think that's when I was like, all right, I'm going to go forward. I just like the vibe of this game. But it led to a lot of multi-hour frustration because this is one of the genres I'm not exactly great at. So
Mark's not good at a platformer? No.
yeah, no. And even this kind of platformer, in terms of the combat on it. So there are a lot of bosses that probably would have been easier for people that are a little more skilled at it than I am. But I did have the Dark Souls moments of after fighting it for like the 12th or 15th time, finally beating it and just like raising my hands in the air in celebration. So yeah, Hollow Knight Silksong, great game so far. I don't know if it falls off in the later third of the game or whatever. But I feel like it's going to live on that Dark Souls thing where I get 2/3 of the way through it, and then when the difficulty spikes up and stuff, I sort of just back away from it because I don't know if I can finish it. But
I think that's probably reasonable. But
yeah,
I
had a lot of fun with it, and as you'll find out when you see my full top 10, which we should mention it now as we're in here. Me and Jonathan are going to do written top 10s for the Discord. If you guys want to check that out. There is a gulf between 5 and then 6 through 10. So even though I did not finish Silksong, it was obviously better than a lot of the games I've had 6 through 10. So yeah, that is my number 5.
Okay. Go to number 4. Jonathan, what is number 4 game of the year?
Okay. My number 4 is Monster Hunter Wilds, which I already mentioned. This is actually so I play a lot of Monster Hunter. Like, I speed ran the previous game, and I have over about 500 hours in World, Rise, and 160 in Wilds. However, Wilds is a late addition to my GOTY list. As of December 16th, this game no longer sucks to play. Yay!
Congratulations.
That is the 4th major update. Is December 16th. It came out like very beginning of this year. No, it came out in November because I remember making jokes about hunting season. It came out at the start of deer hunting season, and I woke up early so that I could play because we had to do stuff later that day. Anyway, so the combat has always been good for Monster Hunter Wilds, but Title Update 4 added meaningful variety to builds and like actual reasons to just keep hunting forever. Before that, it was very grindy if you wanted to make a truly optimized build and tedious. And if you didn't want literally the best build possible at all, then it's like, okay, go fight Uthduna 3 times and then you're done. There's nothing else for you to get. But now there's like a lot of build variety, a lot of different things to try out, and every monster gives you useful stuff. So it's just fun to keep playing it. And I'm looking forward to what they do in the next major update, and the DLC should be coming out next year or the year after. So
nice. You're going to see a lot more playtime in that. That's cool. Well, Monster Hunter is one of those things, again, the blind spot for me, because I have a feeling if I ever got into Monster Hunter, it would be my life. And I don't...
You would not like it. So if you look up any of the trailers for Monster Hunter, you will notice they do not show anyone beating the monster in any of the trailers. The trailers just show, like, look at the cool armor you can have for your hunter. Look at these cool monsters. And then it's just a montage of monsters slapping the shit out of the player, sending you flying, knocking you on your ass, like roaring in the players being terrified. If you do not like getting the shit kicked out of you, then you will not like Monster Hunter.
glowing praise here from Jonathan. All right, let's see. Mark, did you go second or did I go second?
You went second.
All right. My game of the year, number 4 for game of the year, is Donkey Kong Bonanza. So, once again, I'm the only one here who has played the game. But it's very much it's very much a game of the 90s, I feel like. It's a collectathon. There's not a whole lot of story. You're just kind of going through and, gathering up resources to get better like not armor, but better clothing and stuff for you and for Pauline. Pauline plays a pretty big role, I guess you could say. She kind of helps you unlock certain abilities and allows you to go certain places, which is an interesting concept, but I feel like she goes way underused. Overall, it's a good game. I'm not going to say it's not a good game. It's just like if you are not really into it and you're not like, yes, I need to go play Donkey Kong Bonanza, you're just going to fall off of it because there's nothing story wise that's pulling you in going, yes, you need to come back and play this. It's more of a pick up for 30 minutes to an hour, put it down and pick it up whenever you feel like it. It's not unless you are addicted to the gameplay loop, which you can be. Because you're basically just going, it's like Minecraft. You're just going around smashing stuff and picking up gold and bananas. I mean, in between that, there's some cool exploration stuff and there's some cool like puzzle stuff, but I feel like it's really spread out. And I mean, it's not super difficult either, which is nice for me. I only get so much time to play. So if it's something super difficult, it's going to annoy me. Like wasting an hour on one boss or something. But, overall, it's a good game. It did what the Switch 2 needed. It showed off the abilities of the Switch. It looks great. It's got some interesting stuff happening with Donkey Kong, which he hasn't really had a big game since 3D game at least since the 64. Donkey Kong 64 was it, and then you didn't have him in anything else 3D wise until now. So it's nice to have a different 3D platformer. But I just feel like it's too long. First of all, it's too long for its own good, and the gameplay loop is not enough to pull you in for the length that they made the game. It's like they made it long just to be long, kind of like the movies you guys watch on TV.
It just is there so people don't complain about the price tag.
Yeah, exactly. That's the length is there so people don't complain that it's a $70 game. I mean, again, this sounds like I'm shitting all over it, and I kind of am, but at the same time, it is a fun game to play. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just long, and my tastes are getting different as I get older. So I felt like I needed to play it just to make sure that we could cover it on this show.
What a ringing endorsement.
Again, ringing endorsement. I would recommend if you have a Switch 2, because there's only 2 games out for the Switch 2 or 3 or whatever, you should play it. You may like it more than I did.
Well, I feel like the selling point for the Switch 2 is just all of the Switch games don't run like shit anymore.
They don't. They really don't. That's the best part of the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Is you could play Pokemon on it without it running at 5 frames a
second. I remember hearing when the Switch 2 came out, the Scarlet and Violet speedrunning scene was just like completely turned upside down. They saved like 30 minutes on load times alone, and it completely changed. The load times were so major, it actually completely changed their route. Like the order that you do things is very different just because you don't have to account for long load times anymore.
That does not surprise me at all.
It was very funny.
That's great. I'll have to check out some Scarlet and Violet speedruns now that they're using I imagine Switch 2 is its own category. Could be wrong, but
I assume so. But yeah, I haven't watched any of the runs. I was just listening to people talking about it. It's been very funny to watch all the changes that happened.
But yeah, so Donkey Kong Bonanza, my number 4. If you have a Switch 2 and you need something to play and you like collectathons, all right, Mark, number 4.
Number 4 on my list. I was 3-4 has been a very contentious thing, and I think today I'm gonna settle on it and make it official. Number 4 is Hades 2 for me.
Okay.
I spent an unreasonable amount of time when 1.0 came out, completely beating the first part of the story and getting, I think I had at least 70 to 80 trips up and down. And it was everything I wanted from this game. I played the early access on stream in 2024. And I even made it made my moments list last year, or for the new area that they send you to in early access. But the full game, and I beat the whole stuff before they put in like an update to like make the story better or something. I don't know what happened. I don't even know if I saw the updated, because I had no issue with how the original story ends. All of the thing I like most about it, and it differed from Hades for me, is that I had fun with all 6 weapons when I went out, and I beat it with 4 of the 6. Beat the end boss with them, which is not something I did in Hades. I think those designs were real good, and just the only thing that was a little different from Hades, and is why this is number 4, because the 3 games ahead of it were much better in this aspect of video games. The story was a little, I don't want to say dry or something. It just didn't have the hooks that Hades 1 story had. Maybe if I get to the true ending, it'll be great, but I don't know how many more times I have to beat each thing to do that. But I think my favorite part of Hades 2 is the extreme way of how they take the certain characters from like absolutely like despising you, and then if you do enough things story wise and give them ambrosia and stuff like that, how the story naturally takes them into becoming a friend or lover or whatever in the game. I think Supergiant is really, really good at that, or at least they have been for Hades and Hades 2. I'm interested to see where they go next, if they do continue with a mythology sort of thing. There's a lot to dive into in Greek mythology, but you could see other games and other mythologies, kind of what God of War did. But overall, I really enjoyed the combat. The enemy design it felt, because there were 2 different areas, it never got boring in terms of the enemies. The bosses, a little bit, once you start learning them, they do, just like Hades had the same thing, they do kind of get a little bit on the just pushing through it side. But overall, I really enjoyed the game. It fulfilled my expectations from the early access. And it is definitely one that I will play periodically, like I did Hades, throughout for like a week or 2 stretches.
Okay. Good pick.
Yeah, I feel like everything I've heard about Hades 2 is either very effusive praise or very negative. They don't like the changes. And there's no in between, really. But yeah, I'm glad you like it. That feels like the right way to play that game, is to just beat it and then just pick at it a little bit after that.
Yeah, starting to do all the, I forget what they call it in this, but like the heat stuff from Hades 2, from Hades. I'm starting to pick away at that stuff. I think it's like Nightshade or something like that that you're doing. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I think most of the negative stuff people don't with the changes, and also I think a lot of people really didn't like the story with it, and it could also be a little sprinkle of misogyny in there, because it is a female main character.
The people I heard complaining about it were not complaining about the misogyny. It was complaining about the ending, or that they didn't like the changes to the like leveling up type stuff, the progression mechanics.
I was mostly saying the negative stuff could be legitimate stuff like you heard, with a little sprinkle of misogyny.
I don't know. I can't speak about. Yeah.
All right. On to spot number 3. Jonathan, what was your third game of the year?
So I'm not giving my top 5. I'm instead just talking about the 5 games that I most want to talk about.
That's
my full 10, full list of 10 is going to have everything in order. The next one I want to talk about is Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, which is basically Bloodborne 2. This is another Souls-like, obviously. It's set in ancient China, about it's basically the same plot as Bloodborne, except that it's werebirds, and like crows. The combat is really neat. It's very fast paced. The one of the unique things about it is that you have like a normal parry that you can do, but you also have clashes, which is certain of your attacks. If they hit an enemy's attack, then it deflects their attack and like staggers them for a bit, which leads to you have these really fast, flashy fights that like look like a Hong Kong action movie, where they're swinging really fast and their swords are just clanging off of each other type stuff.
Yeah.
It's and then you also have a bunch of like special attacks that are really flashy. And you have regular magic as well as feathering magic, which is based like powered by you being a werebird and stuff, which is very neat. It's very cool, but it was not, again, this in my like real list, this was my number 2. But another fantastic game. That's it.
Okay. All right. I will go next. My number 3, which I will just mention quickly because I don't know if this matches up with Mark, but my number 3 was Dispatch.
All right, I got it. Yeah, we'll talk about it in full later.
Yeah, I saw Mark playing it and I felt like I needed to play it, so we will talk about that shortly. So, Mark, what is your number 3?
Yeah, so we won't talk about it right away because my number 3 is Death Stranding 2 on the beach. I kept going back and forth, like I said, with Hades 2 here, and I think overall the thing that pushed it to number 3 was the story. As batshit crazy as Kojima's stories can be and Death Stranding stories in general are, I felt that he hit a lot of the emotional moments a lot better than he's ever done. In terms of, I think it's the way that this story seemed to have a good, I guess, theme to it. The gut-wrenching scene of when Sam finds out the truth that he's been hiding, or not hiding, but like had convinced himself was not true. And just that whole sequence was the first time I probably came close to, shedding a tear in a Kojima game. And it was mostly the performances of, Norman Reedus and, just the way you felt what that story was doing in that moment. And I think hitting that emotional story, because there wasn't much dialogue in that scene, I think just put me more into the game than DS1 did, because essentially everything else is more the same. There's a lot of quality of life stuff in Death Stranding 2, in terms of traversal and combat, that make it superior to Death Stranding 1. I had one vehicle that I rode the entire game once you were able to get trucks, and I lost it in the final battle. When I drove it into a base, it got blown up.
Did you have an emotional response there?
Yeah, I killed all those robots in furious fashion. Yeah, no, didn't have, I did. I think I said, it might be on stream. I think I said, "Oh no, my truck!" Like actually had a reaction to seeing it blow up. The fun part was I had so much shit in there; it was just laying on the ground, cleared out the robots. So that was a cool visual. But I think the main thing is that with these games in particular, and I think it's because he went with actual actors for most of the roles, if not all of them. The storytelling and emotion comes across a lot better than he's ever done in Metal Gear games, honestly, because using David Hayter and people that aren't like actual like TV movie actors, a lot of the nonverbal stuff that doesn't come across as well as it does in Death Stranding 2.
So you're talking overall performance, not just voice.
Yeah, overall.
Let's say we're going to tread lightly here because we don't want to piss off voice actors.
No,
Voice
no.
actors
I
are
think I
very good
think
at their job.
because
Well, yeah.
because the
Okay.
problem is that sometimes when they do the motion capture and stuff for voice acting in a lot of these games, especially probably his games, it's just people in the suits, sort of sometimes non-actors, just trying to get the animations on there,
Yeah.
for a lot of that, so they can't convey the emotion needed. But these being, I'm sure if you put David Hayter in, the suit, maybe it does come across a little better than Solid Snake does in a lot of the games. But he never got the opportunity. But the fact that Leah Sado and Norman Reedus, Elle Fanning, it just made the game. This is, I will say it. Maybe it's a hot take, maybe it's not, but I feel this is the best overall game, in terms of every aspect of a game that Kojima's ever made. And I think he finally figured out how to merge all that stuff, or maybe the technology caught up to allow him to do what was in his brain. But yeah, DS2 is really, really good. And I was surprised by how good it was. I knew it'd probably be a top 5 game for me, but I got really into it, got really hooked. And you can watch the full playthrough on our YouTube channel there. And I did get, did get emotional at multiple points in that game. But yeah, it was really good. And honestly, it's weird to say it about a Kojima game, but the actual good storytelling is the reason why it is over Hades 2 and Silksong here.
Is it your favorite beach episode now?
Yes. Yes, because I was not on that podcast. I was going to make a reference to the TC Tam Baywatch WCW crossover. Episode, but I was not on that episode of TC Tam.
Do you think it's better acting than the Baywatch WCW crossover episode?
At times. I mean, when Hasselhoff comes on screen, I mean, best actor of both property. But yeah, I just think. And one last thing, it has one of the most ridiculous scenes, and that's saying something for Kojima, that I've ever seen, and I do not want to spoil it. We're trying to avoid most spoilers here. That just had me laughing and just couldn't believe what I was watching. And
I will agree. I will agree 100% with that being the most ridiculous scene I've ever seen.
Yeah. So it still has those Kojima moments in there, but and I have to give a huge shout out for, I know I talked about having real like regular movie TV actors in there, but by far and away the best performance in this is Troy Baker is an amazing villain in this game, and he is so like deep into this role because it's the second time around, it's Higgs again. But without him, without Norman Reedus having him to bounce off of, I don't think it works. And if it wasn't for certain other games on this list, I could have very easily seen him nominated for that performance.
Okay, good choice. All right, we are down to number 2. Jonathan, what is your number 2 game of the year?
This is my obligatory short visual novel that makes my list. Pin Feather, which is, I guess it's the year of the werebird.
I was gonna say, what's up with all the birds?
Yeah. So Pin Feather is a short visual novel. It is about a woman who is turning into a werebird and a beautician, and every month, except it's starting to become more frequent, the beautician has to like trim her claws and file down her fangs and like pluck her feathers and stuff like that. And it's like a lot of it's very much a body horror type thing, because it's like descriptions of all those things, and also good Foley work. Tommy, you would not like this. And then there is also a lot of gore, as you would expect from a story about a werebird. Spoilers, it's not a happy ending, really. But it was a really good novel. The character work is very interesting. A lot to like think about. And like the characters are really well developed, even though I think this whole thing took me like an hour and a half to read, or maybe 2 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
But and also like that is an interesting premise, right? It's
Yeah, that's obviously not up my alley, but maybe Mark.
Yeah, I was sort of. It's a game on itch, right? If I'm looking up the right pin feather.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like the look of it. It's got a cool art design. There's a dialogue that they put on here that I laughed at, but probably do not want to mention on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's about a certain T-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we can move on.
All right. My number 2 game is Tokyo Extreme Racer. So, this is kind of like my perfect dad game. This game is one that you can pick up, play it on a handheld, play it for 20 minutes at a time, 15. I mean, you don't even have to play it for that long. You can play it for 10 minutes at a time because it's literally you jump in, you pick your car, which it's also very RPG like. You have to unlock everything. You have to unlock what cars you can buy. You have to unlock the upgrades you can do. You have to upgrade perks that you can get for your vehicle. All this stuff. It's very RPG like, but at the same time, you don't have to play it that long at a time. But it's if you've ever played at least the original Tokyo Extreme Racer and Tokyo Extreme Racer 2 on the Dreamcast or Tokyo Extreme Racer 0 on the PlayStation 2, this game it fully captures the feeling of those games while giving it to you in a modern way. The music is awesome. It's like Eurobeat, J-pop, heavy metal all mixed into one. It's a sound to behold. You have to hear it for yourself because it's like and the races play out as battles. So you're one-on-one against another car and you both have a life bar. The further away you get from the other car, their life bar gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So it kind of works like a fighting game.
Okay.
And if they run into things or if you run into things, your health bar will go down. So you have to drive clean and you have to get away from them as quick as possible. And that's the gameplay loop over and over and over. And as you take down different factions, there's a bunch of them, and there's like a whole bestiary basically where you can see each one that you beat and what car they drove and like their biography. There's so much in this game. I love it. There's just so much detail that's unnecessary for this style of racing game, but it's a lot of fun, and you can upgrade things to your heart's desire. You can just stick to like the first car you got, or you can try to buy as many as you can. There's no like limit to how many cars you can have. It's all
So
dependent on how much you want to play and how much you want to spend. There's
so it's what
there's no microtransactions.
yeah,
None.
so if you wanted to say try to play through an entire game driving a 1998 Honda Prelude,
You could do that.
you could
Only
do
I don't think that right now I'm playing with a 1986 Toyota Corolla, and like you can unlock like Honda Civics and
Yeah.
all bases of vehicle. There's all kinds of vehicles, whether it's like a piece of crap or it's like $100,000 car. So it ranges dramatically, which is awesome. I love games where you can drive slow cars fast.
Yeah.
It's one of the best things about the early Gran Turismos and games like this, like tuner games where you can buy like a car that you could actually own and you could just hop it up and play against everything until you reach the limit where you can't get any further. It's one of my favorite types of games. And this was like would have been number 1 had it not been for number 1 coming out this year and me actually getting to play it. But we'll
Yeah.
talk about that game in a little while.
Yeah, Tokyo Extreme Racer has been on my radar for a while, but I think I'm gonna try to check it out because you're speaking so highly of it.
I mean, it's a very different kind of game than like Need for Speed. It's way the way the cars handle is very specific to this game, like the Tokyo Extreme Racer games. It's kind of floaty, but it's not It's not like a simulation. I'm glad it's not like a simulation. But yeah, it's like an RPG and a fighting game and a racing game all rolled into one. And like one of the cool things is like when you've beaten everybody in a gang, you will get challenged by the leader. And you only get to battle them after you've beaten all of the cars because they just come out of nowhere. They're not just driving around. Everybody else is just driving around and you can go up and challenge them. But the leaders, you have to be challenged by them. So it makes it a little more important that you beat them at that point because you don't know when they're going to show up again. But yeah, highly recommend Tokyo Extreme. You can play it. It's right now it's only on Steam. But don't let that stop you. You can
It
run
looks
it on
like it
anything.
came out on PlayStation recently, like end of November.
Oh, it may have. But what like
But
when I was
yeah,
I had planned on only playing it on Steam because I
yeah,
bought something with Steam
that's
OS
fair.
on it. So yeah. But yeah, if it's on
Oh,
PlayStation, check it out
wait,
there.
no, it looks like it comes out on PS5 in February. They
Oh,
started pre-orders
there you go.
end of February. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be great on console too. So pick it up if you can. Highly recommend. Mark, what is your number 2 game?
Yeah. So number 2 is where we talk about Dispatch.
Okay.
Dispatch was a game I was highly looking forward to once the first trailers and all came out for it because I really do love those Telltale style games. I mean, Life is Strange was one of my games of the year at one point. And just the choice affecting different outcomes, choose your own adventure stuff. I am a sucker for those. But Telltale had been falling off a bit near the end. Obviously, they stretched too thin and weren't able to make as good a quality. Dispatch reminded me, and probably everybody that played it, how good those games can be when they are fully focused and not trying to appease a property or something like they were doing, Borderlands and Batman and stuff like that. When it's a wholly original story, um, uh, they can stretch their muscles a lot more and actually get to a new level than they did, even with Walking Dead season 1 being probably one of the best things they ever made. Because they were able to, introduce you to these characters and get you to fall in love with them or choose sides for a very important choice at one point. And it was just so well done in terms of, even though each character is kind of a trope for the most part, in some cases, I believe My Girl Invisigal would be could be classified as the Manny Pixic girl sort of trope thing. Just you're sort of drawn to her because you want to sort of be involved in that chaos that she provides. But overall, I think as we talked about Royd, we talked about Beef, just having the voice talent that they had for this, I think is what that takes it over the top, despite it, basically being a visual novel for the most part.
Yeah, I mean
In terms of the actual gameplay, is like maybe a
this
third of the game. So
this game is one of the first games in a long time I can say made me laugh out loud. Like I I can't remember the exact thing that was said, but I was playing and it was, close to midnight and I started cackling and I was trying to keep myself from laughing too hard because it was it's I was not expecting the game to be that funny. It's great writing. I also again, this is not a genre I generally am interested in,
yeah.
but I've been all in on this game. It's one of those games where I've actually been thinking about like wanting to go back and playing it when I'm not, and that doesn't happen all that often anymore.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
sad as that is.
I was. I'm so glad that when I did start playing it was when most of the game was out when we did it for Extra Life,
Mm.
so that I could get through 6 episodes of the 8 on one sitting because I don't know if I could have hung around. That was one of my problems. Even though they ended up landing the plane for the most part, with the way Life is Strange was doled out. This has had a much more regular release, 2 episodes every week, than that game did. But yeah, I think the adult writing, with a lot of the crass humor and using, words that could get a movie rated R in it, but everything
There,
felt like it came from a real place.
there's a lot of swearing in this game.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's the moment that you laughed out loud, but the first time that I really had a really good laugh that I can remember. Now, obviously, I have video proof that this might not be correct. But the moment when you meet Chase and it's very much great dark humor where he talks about that he would
Kill your father
kill
again.
your father, bring your father back from the dead and kill him in front of you.
Yeah.
And it just was Blonde Blazer's reaction. He's like, Jesus. And he's like, no, I'd let him have a heartfelt goodbye before I extinguished the light from his eyes in front of him. And it was just the perfect, that's the type of dark humor, fun comedy that I've had with friends and stuff like that, and through D&D stuff that we played. And that was when I knew I was in the way the comedy goes. I played through, I knew most of that stuff. I don't know if they had that line in the demo, but that whole section there is the demo.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that makes it number 2 on the list for me is that the writing's phenomenal. All the characterizations are phenomenal. I went back and watched everybody that made different choices and stuff. All the endings are really good. And the different things you learn about different characters depending on the pathways you take are very, very, very good. I think they did a good job. There's some missteps, obviously, which can't be perfect in these games. But the reason it's number 2 is because the actual dispatching game, I grew to love by the end. And I would play, it's just like Queen's Blood in Rebirth. I would play a separate game that is just the dispatching. Obviously, they would need to have the little quips in there and the back and forth, joking about things. But the actual game itself was fantastic. And it might be because it's right up my alley in that type of game, because I love a lot of the side games in the Yakuza games, because they always have some kind of side thing that I get invested in. And I think this thing was, leveling things up and trying to figure out the right paths to go and stuff like that. Just hit that part of my brain that just became obsessed with it. And I felt that it was the first game of these type, for me at least, that felt like every choice and ending, when you go back and watch it, felt like they had a complete story with it. Because there's a whole problem with Life is Strange where if you choose one of the endings that they obviously did not want you to choose, it's such a quick, short thing with not too much emotion in it. And that's a thing you can fall into when you accidentally make a canon ending to a choice game. And that's what I love about here, the 3 different endings that you can end up with here. There might be more than 3. I think there's only 3 main ones, really. But they are all well done and fit perfectly in the choices you make. It's my number 2 for that reason. The mixture of story and gameplay. And it was that game that comes in at the end of the year and always has a chance to unseat number 1, but this year wasn't one of those years. But still, as I said, this game, if you like those old Telltale games, especially Walking Dead Season 1, and Wolf Among Us, which a lot of these people in this game made Wolf Among Us. So if you like those games, you will absolutely adore this.
I have to say that the only thing that I don't like about these games, and it's just me, is why do they have to be at like a 15 FPS frame rate? I know it's a style and I know it's a thing in all like media at this point, like the Spider-Man movie, the animated Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Same thing, like 15 FPS. And I get it. I understand, but at the same time I hate it. It just hurts. It hurts my brain a little. But yeah, the game is great. I love the dispatching game because you get to like pick and choose who is going to be the best for that situation. I like that they give you clues. Like, yeah, it's great that you tell me like I need to defend or I need to fend off attackers or whatever. It does a great job of getting you through that. So you can get back to the story. I feel like people don't talk about the dispatching part as much because the other stuff is more fun, but it's a good breakup in between all of the heavy or whatever story stuff you're going through. And yeah, it's just a great game. Go grab it if you haven't played it yet. It's a great voice cast, great story. Highly recommend. Okay, we're at the top. Number 1. Jonathan, what is your number 1 game for 2025?
My number 1 game of 2025 is the first Berserker Kazan.
Yeah,
This is yet another Souls-like, and it is metalcore in the best way. It's like somebody distilled the essence of metalcore from the 2000s, and then distilled it down to its purest essence, and then transformed that into a video game.
Do I need to play this game?
It's you should at least look at some of it. But so you play as Kazan, who has been he slayed this dragon, but then somebody said that he was a traitor, and so the emperor had him exiled, and you have to get revenge. And basically every level starts with, oh, we're in such and such a town. I should check in on how Scalpel is doing, how Commander Scalpel is doing. And then you go through the level and you hear little bits from people like, oh no, what's happening to Commander Scalpel? Why has he been acting so weird? Journal things like that, or hearing dialogue from people. Why is Commander Scalpel been behaving so strangely since he came back from fighting the Chaos Demons? And then you get to the end of the level, and Kazan goes, "No, Commander Scalpel has been corrupted by chaos." and I'm like, "Damn, who could have foreseen that Commander Scalpel would be a bad guy?" And so it's all of this stuff obviously sounds ridiculous, and the way it's delivered, it's very obvious foreshadowing and stuff like that. But it's just tiny little bits through the level, and this game is primarily this game is less similar to Dark Souls and more similar to the Neo games. So it's the story stuff is mostly just very superficial. It's just to get you from one level to another, and then the real focus is the level design. It's you have to be very careful going through the levels to avoid ambushes and stuff like that. And then the combat is very extensive with so many options in different play styles. There's only 3 weapon types, but then within each weapon there's 5 different builds that you can do that are all centered on different skills and play styles and stuff like that. So having the story be so ridiculous and melodramatic and stuff like that, and all cliches that just you see it coming and it hits, and you're just like, yes, it is awesome when Hismar, the Berserk Dragon, has been resurrected by necromancers, and you have to fight him again, even though the game starts with right after Kazan has returned from defeating Hismar, the Berserk Dragon.
I'm watching gameplay of this game. It looks wild.
Yeah, and it's a very evocative style. This game is my number 1 over all the other Souls-likes that I mentioned that came out this year, because this is the one that I got the Platinum trophy for. The Platinum is not too difficult. It doesn't have anything really annoying to do. You mostly just have to play the game through more than once. And when I love the combat and set building and wanted to try out different builds and stuff like that, that was very easy to do. I had most of the achievements.
Yeah,
just because I wanted to play through it a second time.
Yeah. Before you mentioned it, I was going to be slightly disappointed if you had not played this game.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as literally when I saw it come out, I was like, Jonathan's going to talk about this at the end of the year.
Yeah. And yeah, so this was easily my number 1 game of the year. I absolutely loved it. I'm excited to see what this studio does next. Sorry. I guess one thing I got to mention is this is like a spin-off game from Dungeon Fighter, which Dungeon Fighter Online, which is sucks and is not similar at all. It's
Good to know.
It's quite bad. I tried it out because I like this so much, and it just wasn't very good.
All right. Well, I love that we're getting the other interesting games from Jonathan, because these are not games I would have ever known about and or played. So it's awesome to get this perspective.
Yeah, it's the whole reason we bring Jonathan in, and when Jen is able to make it here, she has a whole horror genre that I probably don't even touch or look at. So it that's what I like about our crew when we do get together and do this stuff, is that there's enough variety here that we're not talking about the same 15 games here, or the same 5 games, I should say.
Yeah.
Even though I think we only had 2 that crossed over,
Yeah.
because I'm assuming we're both going to talk about the next one.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. So if you've listened to this podcast at all, basically, if you've ever listened to it previously, you will probably know that Mark and my game of the year is Expedition 33.
I'm
Claire
sorry,
Obscura,
what is it?
Expedition 33.
Got it. Thank you.
I guess I'll just quickly, because I'm not nearly as far through the game as Mark is, but this game was, minus like the crazy opening sequence of gore. I mean, it's not really gore. It is what it is. This game was like made for me. It's a JRPG with exploration.
I'm sorry, it's a what?
Excuse me, it's a FRPG.
Yeah,
it's an FRPG with exploration and a battle system that is rhythm based. Like, I don't know, it's they couldn't have picked a more perfect person for this game. The characters are interesting. The world is very interesting. I've never seen anything like it. Obviously, I think that's part of it. But it's a beautiful game. There's a enormous amount of customization when it comes to character builds, and I love the fact that you can reset it.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't like where it's going, you can reset it. I love that. I hate when games lock in, which we were talking about on stream the other day. Like Final Fantasy 13, once you get to a certain point, you can't go back. There's no fixing your builds once you're to a certain point.
Yeah, you would eventually probably have to grind it out to just become super powerful to overcome any mistakes you make.
Right. You'd have to because it opens up to other jobs, basically. You'd have to grind that job forever until you got to a point where it made up for the mess up that you had. But yeah, I mean, that's basically all I'll say. I mean, I love this game. It's the music also. I mean, the music is so good in this game. It's some of the best music I've heard in a video game.
Right.
I mean, I loved Final Fantasy 16's music, but this is like on another level. I don't know. It's amazing. It's something I would listen to outside of the game. There's not many games I would do that. Mainly like Final Fantasy 7. There's some Final Fantasy 8 music I like, Kingdom Hearts, but this I think is on that level. But yeah, for me, Claire Obscura Expedition 33. That's my game of the year. So Mark, go ahead and give your.
Yeah. So this was obviously it's easily my game of the year by the end. I was not worried, but it was a game so early in the year that usually something sneaks up and takes the spot at the end of the year. Dispatch, while not close, was the type of game that would do that. But as Tom said, everything about this game I adored and just fell in love with. From the character performances to the combat, to the way the parry system worked in here, which might actually make me understand parry systems, which is the reason why I haven't beat Tears of the Kingdom yet. But we were talking on the Final Fantasy 6 stream, that the difference between this and Hi-Fi Rush was that a lot of the timing based stuff was audio as well as visual. So my transition from playing on, as we make the joke, I played that entire game on a OBS preview monitor, taking that from that to an actual TV, there was no transition. Like I was able to play just as well on a TV, where Hi-Fi Rush was the opposite. That I needed to relearn the timing to play that game. And I think that's just a testament to how good the battle system is as a whole. I think this game has some of the best like moments that you don't see coming at any point, and story twist, and not you can predict some of the stuff that occurs, but it's always like, okay, you can sort of get the base outline of what you think is going to happen, but then all the depth of the story within that, at least from my perspective, obviously, is what makes it. Like you're like, oh, that went a little further than I thought. Okay, that makes it so much better than I was thinking it was going. And they knew how to write endings to acts and scenes and things. And I think this is 100% because of the voice acting in this. And I know we had the whole thing. And I think my DS2 comment is mostly just in the box of Kojima games, where having Hollywood actors works better for his type of game.
Well, yeah, expanding on what you were saying, usually it goes the other way around, that voice actors are better than regular actors for video games and stuff like that, because their voice actors are better voice actors.
Yeah.
And but I think your point was with Death Stranding, there is so much mocap that they and it's good enough quality that they can do a lot of like subtle expression stuff, like physical acting in it, and then that is what makes it good to have like regular stage actors. But for this, they're not doing that level of like mocap, and so the voice actors really shine. In the spoiler cast, I was saying I greatly preferred the French dub, but I mean the English. People also love the English dub as well. Both of them have like really good casts that really sell those characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I'm a big Ben Starr fan.
Which one?
Ben Starr.
Yeah, he's fantastic in it. And it's just even like the two like actors that are more known for things outside of video games, Andy Serkis and Charlie Cox, are really good in this. You don't see any stilted acting from them not being at the level of voice actor that they're going against. Like they are on that level, which is sometimes hard to do, because I think especially Jennifer English and Ben Starr and just go to a whole nother level in this game. And I really feel like that this game, it's weird because this game hinges so much, at least in my opinion, on the performance of Jennifer English and how much of a 10 out of 10 she did with Mael, is what I think ultimately made this game number one for me, which is why I was so excited when she did win, the award she has won for this performance. I did like her as Shadowheart in Baldur's Gate 3. I was also a Shadowheart person in that game, but just the range, and it's always nice to see newer voice actors, pop out into the upper echelon, because it's such a small, field of people getting reused. Ben Starr starting to become like in that Troy Baker level of just being in everything. Enough so that they made a joke about it at the Game Awards, that Ben Starr will do anything for money. And yeah, I think overall this game got everything right. The only thing I worry about with Sandfall is that it'll fall into one of those things where they've had so much time to do this game. This is the game they wanted to make. They had the story in mind. And unless if they can make, because Claire Obscure is the name of the IP, Expedition 33 is just one of the games in that. So if they can do something within, the universe and keep it as good and as tight as this was, they're good. But I feel like it falls into, and this is another property that I just got into, completely. The difference between seasons 1 and 2 of Stranger Things, where the Duffers had like 10 years of perfecting the script and the story and stuff for season 1, and then they got to season 2 and just didn't know how to make it bigger and different. Now they figured it out for, seasons 3 and 4, but my concern with Sandfall is just the next game, where they need to
Well,
they live up to this level. So.
the beauty of this story, well, I obviously I have not beaten this game yet, so I can't speak to the whole thing, but you almost have an infinite amount of stories you could tell. You could do Expedition 0 to 34. You can do all of them. You can do any of those in between that you want. Pick out one you think would be interesting and do that. I mean, obviously we know how they end, but that doesn't matter. We knew how Red Dead Redemption 2 was going to end too, but it doesn't matter. Like you can tell a good story and have good characters and still be able to, do it that way. Obviously it will be very different because you don't have the Lumina stuff. You might not be able to, you might have to work around that, but sometimes it's better to have a restriction. You don't have the Lumina converter. So, I hope that a sequel or another game in this series would go backwards first before it tries to go forward. That makes sense.
For me, this game is the poster child for the meme, I want shorter games with worse graphics made by fewer people that are paid more, and no, I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There was that stuff going around that people were saying that the game was only made by 33 people, but it's actually a lot more than that because they had like a lot of work contracted out. But even with all of that, the real number is still like 100 people, which is still way smaller than the scope of most AAA games. And I think the thing with this game is just that they did a really good story with a lot of really creative art, that good writing and acting and good gameplay that lasts for a reasonable amount of time. And we could just have like a lot of games of that scope and stuff like that, but we don't, because all of the publishers want a game that costs more than $200 million to create instead of this, and had thousands of people working on it and takes 10 years to create. And then if it doesn't work out, then you're gone. And if it does work out, then it's like, great, you have one game to last you for the next 5 years. When they could just be making like a billion games like this. And so I think that the pressure on Sandfall is just that people are going to expect them to be making something else groundbreaking after this one, when instead it should just be, all right, they made something really cool. Who's going to come up with something next? And then Sandfall has time to do stuff. Like, we were talking about how this is such a really great cast, but also these are not like the biggest name actors on the planet or anything like that. These are just people who are good actors. And like, there are a million other good actors who could also, you could also have like help make something equally as good as this, if you just have a reasonable scope for your project.
Yep. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just, don't, if it's not broke, which it's not, don't fix it. But yeah, I mean, this game, all the games on these lists are good, but this one to me just really stood out. I don't know how I could pick a different. It's like I said, it's like made for me. This game was made with me in mind. Someone who played PS1 RPGs and, loved Rock Band.
Well, Tom, have you played Final Fantasy X, Lost Odyssey, and or Thousand Year Door?
Nope.
Okay.
I have not played either one of those. I've played Final Fantasy X, but I haven't played Lost Odyssey.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't played a good amount into 10. I mean, we played it for the podcast, but we didn't play we played maybe 5 hours, so it wasn't a ton.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've played Legend of Dragoon, which is similar, or Super Mario RPG, which has similar stuff too. So, I've played those RPGs that have rhythm-based stuff in it as well. So it's not like a new territory for me, but at the same time, I like the way that this works with parrying and dodging.
Yeah.
Because
No,
yeah,
just that I think they specifically shouted out Final Fantasy X and Lost Odyssey as being major influences for them. And I thought I remembered that you hadn't actually played Final Fantasy X. Like, of all the Final Fantasies you have played, you have not played 10.
yeah. I mean, I dabbled. It's not enough to say I played it. I guess you could say I played it enough to know. Like I played it through Blitzball. I think that was about as far as I played. The
Well,
first
that's like the
full
worst note to end on, but okay.
I know, but yeah, that was like the last thing I did in the first. But yeah, it's very much feels like an old Square RPG with new stuff in it, and I'm totally cool with that. Or Square adjacent. But yeah, that I think that's gonna wrap it up for our Game of the Year discussion.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, the one last thing I'll say is this was the easiest number one I've had since probably 2021 with Inscription, and it was nice to not have to worry about top of the list.
Yeah, I didn't. If Expedition 33 didn't come out, it was going to be Tokyo Extreme Racer for me. But it's a totally different level. It's all right. So that's our game of the year. Big surprise. I'm sure you were all totally thrown off by us two picking Expedition 33. But if you have your game of the year, we'd love to hear it. So come on over to all of our socials at Game Vault Pod on Blue Sky and Threads, and if you can find us on YouTube, feel free to come tell us what your game of the year. We'd love to hear it. So Jonathan's going to leave us now, and we are going to get into our Retro Roulette game, which is Mick Kids for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It is quite an interesting game, and it comes from an era where I think we've played a couple of mascot games, but it comes from an era where you could turn any franchise into a video game, and this is one of those games. Like this game when it was created probably had nothing to do with McDonald's, but they decided we're gonna throw McDonald's into this. So Mark, I want to hear your first thoughts on Mick Kids.
Yeah, the playing through it, the thing that I didn't like the most is how much the refresh of or of the enemies coming back, how quickly, especially if they're playing Mega Man where they do come back, but it's a lot more forgiving than this game is.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally when they go off screen, if you go back to that screen, they're back. Like it's not even like it was frustrating. The other thing is I'm assuming it's a Metroidvania. I'm not sure because I watched you play and then I played. I don't even know if Metroidvania is, but I watched you play and then I played level 1 and I saw where that M was, the card you have to get for Ronald to get his bag back. Full of his special sauce. I don't know. It's really it sounds kind of creepy. And I'm like, there has to be a skill you get or something to get that. Because I literally was thinking of everything I could think of to get to that box. And you literally have to press a button to get the box. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you have to be standing on it or next to it. And I'm like, it has to be something. So I don't know. I didn't get far enough to know if there's some kind of Metroidvania-esque thing to it.
I'm guessing there has to be something because when we were playing it, we kind of discovered that there's a lot of it's kind of physics based. As weird as that is for a Nintendo game, like how fast you're moving makes it how far you're gonna jump. Like you can jump really far if you're going fast enough, and I don't know. There's got to be ways because there was stuff that I deemed impossible, and I don't know if it actually was possible or not. So yeah, it's a weird game. Like it's like I don't like the story doesn't make any sense. You're like in random, like you're in a cloud area. I don't know. There was just a lot of weird stuff going on in McKids. It seemed like an acid trip, and this is why I think like this had nothing to do with McDonald's before it became McKids. They just kind of threw that in there to make it a McDonald's game. McDonald's said, "Hey, you made a game. Can you put all this Ronald McDonald stuff in it?"
And overall the momentum based stuff, it was fun understanding how platforming worked in it in terms of things that you wouldn't think are platforms. And Yeah, I hated the game over system. I guess it's a relic of that time where you die and then you got to get you got to get all the stuff again. If you die within a level. So I was stupid enough where I was trying to get 5 of the 6 instead of just get the fourth one you need to continue, and then just go visit Ronald and get to the next level, which has an auto save to it. It I don't know. It just felt like I played a lot of licensed platformers. I mean, we played Jaws. I played them for one of the New Year's Eve streams, a bunch of stuff like Bugs Bunny and things like that.
Yeah.
That we played. And this one just I don't I it it's just weird. I couldn't put my finger on. Yeah, my thing is it's not even weird like, oh, it's a weird game, it's McDonald's and weird, I'm just like I don't like there were certain things in levels where I'm like, can you do this? Like we were just saying, I know we keep repeating ourselves, was like I know in 2025 I would expect this to have you get a skill come back to get that. But I don't know if that was real for this game. I didn't get a chance to look it up or watch anything, but
it was very unclear, like if you were able to go back. Well, you could go back and play play levels again, but
yeah,
it was unclear if you would get a skill to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't beat full disclosure. At least I didn't. I don't know if you played again.
I did, but I didn't get much further.
Yeah. Did you clear the bird area?
No, I got to the end and I couldn't get out of there. I couldn't finish it.
Because I'm wondering if she gives you something. Because then having wings or something makes sense to go back and get that one that I was talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to watch a playthrough.
Playthrough. Yeah. So, but either way, it's a terrible game no matter what. If it has,
I wouldn't say it's terrible. It's serviceable as a platform. And this was like a really late. I want to say this was a really late like NES game. I want to say it came out in like 92.
Yeah, it's definitely
later.
NES. Yeah.
Yeah, 1992. So that's really late. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why they decided to go with it. But it is what it is. It was an interesting concept. And for what it's worth, it had a 2-player mode too. What's not many games like that. I mean, besides Mario Brothers, there wasn't a whole lot that you could do 2-player like this with a platformer. But yeah, it's just a weird it's a weird game with McDonald's lore in it, and it's very strange. I mean, check it out if you've never played it. It's a very simple game, which is nice. It's not something crazy, but yeah, overall, I'm going back and I'm looking at scores. Like GamePro gave this a 4.6 out of 5. That's wild to me that they gave it that good of a score.
Maybe it all comes together after you beat the second level.
Maybe we missed something. It's very possible.
Yeah.
But I think our scores are going to be a bit different. I'm interested to hear what yours, Mark. I'm sure it's low.
Yeah, no shock. So my score, I'm gonna go, and I'm giving benefit of the doubt here because I didn't get first, second level. 2.5 out of 5.
Okay.
I think it does a lot of good things. The momentum, running, and just the idea of it making it sort of a collectathon. There were things that were really good about it that you could see, but overall the enemy stuff was weird, that you could only kill them with blocks, couldn't jump on their heads for a platformer, and just the design of the levels was just uninspired. If it was a little bit better looking, maybe it gets a better score, but I feel like 2.5. It's a very low end mid game.
It seemed like it was a value title, like at the end of the life of the NES. Like it was in that bin in KB Toys in the middle when you walked in the store. I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5, just because I liked what I played, but I don't know how much more there was to it. So I'm going to give it, like Mark said, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to bump, because I was going to go 2.5, but I was like, I think this game's a little better than a 2.5, so I'm going to give it a 3. So it would be like a 6 out of 10. I feel like that's where this game should sit, like 6, 5.5, 6 out of 10. So if you are in the mood to try to find like a weird game where McDonald's is involved or any type of corporate branding, because you could not get away with this today because you're not allowed to. In the 80s and 90s they changed laws on how you can market to children.
Yeah.
So games like this would never exist today. So if you want to see a relic of the past, go check this game out. All right, Mark, it is time to spin the wheel.
Let's spin that wheel, baby.
All right, we have another licensed platformer for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Mark, we are playing Chip and Dale's Rescue Ranger.
All right, so a good one.
Yes. Should be on the other end of the spectrum when it comes to gameplay. So I'm excited about this one. If you are listening to this when the episode airs, I will be playing this the next Monday on stream, which we've been streaming about 4 times a week.
Tom, before we go any further, did you know that they called the one character Chip because he had a chocolate chip nose?
I did not know that, Mark. That's interesting.
Thank you.
I know that they're dressed up like Indiana Jones and Magnum PI. I know that, but I did not know that's why they called him Chip. Good to know, Mark.
Thank you.
The more you know.
That you can go tell your wife and she'll just give you the look of, you didn't know that?
I'm sure that's what she will say. But yeah. So yeah, if your list comes out next Monday, I'll be playing this on stream. On Thursday, I will hopefully have either gotten to the end or beaten Final Fantasy VI.
No,
we shall
technically,
see.
Oh yes, yeah, we would. Okay, I'm out of rotation. I'm like next week's from when this like tomorrow from when you hear this. Will be our grind run on there, and then so okay. I was like in my head, I'm like, no, Tom, we still have 2 weeks left.
Yeah, we got a little ways to go, but we've got that. Mark's gonna be jumping in and out with hasty glances, he thinks. So so keep an eye on it for that.
Yeah, so I'll just real quick. Saturdays are going back to being trails. In Trails in the Sky, Trail Saturday. So we'll get back on top of that now that I don't have to do any extra live streams. And then Mondays are my Retro Roulette endurance runs, and I'm going through the Mega Man games right now. I'm going to be starting 5, and then once we finish 6, I will decide. I like the idea of a theme of going through a bunch of games and not just make it random. So I have to think of the next theme of games, whether it's a series or a type of game or something. If you have any ideas, feel free to send in a Discord or any comments and stuff like that. But yeah, and then Hasty Glances will probably most likely be on Fridays or before the news hour on Sunday.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, keep an eye out on Twitch for us because we'll be motoring away on all kinds of games, and keep an eye on the Discord. And if you're in the TC10 Discord, keep an eye on that. I believe there will be a poll going up for once I finish Final Fantasy VI on what to play next. So a lot of good stuff coming up. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank Jonathan for throwing his hat in the ring for the Game of the Year discussion. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming up for 2026. Let's just put it that way. We're going to work on a new segment, and I'm really excited for it, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. So, for Mark and Jonathan, I'm Tom, and we will catch you guys in the next one.